You're out of the woods if you're in Kerrville, Fredericksburg, the line already passing through. And San Antonio, notice you're not within this polygon. You're not currently under a severe thunderstorm warning, but that very well may change as this line continues to track its way eastward toward I-35. So I-35, especially south of Austin, if that's where you're headed this evening, just make sure that you are staying weather aware. And if you can wait until this line of storms passes through, we definitely recommend doing so. San Antonio, though, kind of sandwiched in between two groups of storms. We have that line we've been tracking, and then we also have a cluster here just to the east of 35 where Cotulla is, just a little bit north of Laredo. And this one also does have a warning on it for the counties of Dimmitt and Maverick. About 2,000 people impacted by that one. San Antonio still looking clear for now, but we'll need to keep an eye on this as it could quickly change. Austin area, we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect as these storms make their way through. Again, San Marcos and New Braunfels, we're not seeing the worst of it yet, but here in Austin, we're starting to see kind of the bulk of this line come through our area. 183, probably seeing some wet roads. Manor, heavy rain right there as we speak. Pflugerville, kind of making your way out of the heavier rain. Hutto still seeing some heavy rain. Round Rock, your risk is kind of coming to an end. Some lighter rain as of right now, although you probably already did see some larger hail, maybe about in the last 45 minutes or so. Speaking of which, meteorologist Blake Matthews is showing us this here, our hail tracker. We can see just how large of hail we saw. And this is interesting here. The hail really only impacted areas just to the east of I-35. Areas just to the north of Manor saw hail up to an inch and a third. We saw hail of about an inch a little bit further down, and then hail just over a half an inch on there on 183. So the weather has been active, about a third of an inch hail in Pflugerville. We still have the risk of seeing some more of this as the storms continue to track through. We also have some hail down there just to the west of Bernie. That looks like it could be a little bit larger. We'll go ahead and zoom in on that. So south of Kerrville, Bandera, right there. Let's take a look at how big that hail might have been. Could have been, it looks, I'm going to estimate over an inch. So this is actually over 2 inches. I underestimated a little bit. 2 and almost a quarter inch hail there in Bandera, north of Lake Hills, along 46. San Antonio, still quiet. We'll have to continue to watch as the storms get a little bit closer. We'll probably see the first bit of it in Scenic Oaks and Bernie. Again, you're probably already seeing a little bit of rain and thunder as that moves through. We'll take a look at our camera in downtown San Antonio to see how it's looking. That one is actually our downtown Austin camera, where the visibility still on the low side. Downtown San Antonio, still pretty quiet out there. So we'll continue to watch that for you. We also have been watching videos come in from social media. You can see some of them here. Dime-sized hail coming down in South Pflugerville. That is actually from our anchor, Alex Stockwell. You probably see her on TV in the morning. So yes, we have been seeing some hail out of these storms, and this is where they're moving through right now. Many areas of I-35 near Austin being impacted, and then New Braunfels, San Marcos. We're still waiting on these storms. And I wonder, Blake, if we could put a tracker just to see when San Marcos and New Braunfels might see the storms start to move in. They're just to the west of you now, but they are well on their way. So we'll give you kind of an ETA of when you might see the activity really start to ramp up. Kyle, 5:43 p.m., that's when you'll start to see these storms moving in. San Marcos, almost 6 o'clock, 5:54, that's when you'll see these just shy of 6 p.m. for Bastrop, New Braunfels, 10 after the 6 p.m. hour, and San Antonio, that's the big one we've been watching, 5:24. That's when you can expect things to really start to pick up. And this is our camera right outside of the station here. You got the Capitol building in the background, downtown Austin. Visibility still on the low side. It's still wet, rainy, kind of ugly out there. Once this passes through, we're going to clear up and we're going to have clear skies taking us into the weekend. This is one of our photographers who is in Dallas tracking the conditions there. Wet roads, but it does look like the threat has kind of wound down a bit for the DFW area. Blake, if you could go to Weather 9, navigate to that on the keyboard there, if you do Control X and head to the keyboard, and once you get to Weather 9, press F11, we can take this full screen here. So a dime-size hail in Pflugerville. That was a little bit, maybe an hour ago at this point. You can also see some flooding, it looks like, minor flooding there in Alex's backyard. So thanks for sending us all your photos, videos. Please continue to do that so we can see what you're seeing outside. We'll take you back to the radar now, see what things are looking like. Still waiting on the storms for those of you in Kyle, Timberwood Park, Seguin, San Antonio, and even further east to Bastrop. Storms are coming your way. They're just kind of trekking through the Austin area right now. So that's what we're watching, and we also have that cluster of storms for those of you a little bit further south. Moving in to zoom in on Boerne here, a lot of lightning associated with these storms. You're probably seeing that, hearing that, and that's what looks like it could be maybe even a little bit of a hail core. That's typically what that means when we have that purplish, pinkish color. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Those of you in Boerne could be seeing some hail momentarily, or maybe those of you just to the south of neighborhoods in Boerne. Moving up to Blanco, heavy rain, that's what you're seeing there. Wet roads probably on 287. Dripping Springs, heavy rain. It's going to slow down in the next 10 or so, but Circle C Ranch, you'll still be in that heavy rain for maybe another 15, 20 minutes. Up through Austin, still raining here. Heavy rain for Manor. A lot of lightning, so this is good weather to just kind of get cozy inside. Wait this out. If you have anywhere to go, just procrastinate a little bit. Take some time to let this all come through. Lots of lightning. These are probably making a whole lot of noise as they come through. Killeen out of the threat area for now. We're really seeing things have quieted down there, but we do have a warning here. Blake, I believe this is this a flash flood warning? So flash flood warning still in effect for Bell and Coryell counties through 7 p.m. Rain has passed through, but you just need to watch out for some standing water on the roadways. Never a good idea to drive through that, just because you can never tell how deep it is, and that water is usually not clean. So those of you in Bell, Coryell County, again, you're under a flash flood warning through the hour of about 7 p.m. Blake Matthews putting another tracker on these storms so we can give you more of an idea of when you can expect them. I know that we're just watching these storms for now, and you will get the rain in San Antonio, just going to take a little bit longer. 6:27 for Live Oak. It'll be with you in New Braunfels right at about 6:20. So current time, I believe, 5:40. Give it another 45 minutes or so, and you just might see that rain.
And speaking of new thunderstorms, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning coming now. This is going to be for portions of Bandera, Bexar, Blanco, Caldwell, Como, Guadalupe, Hayes, Kendall, Kerr, Medina, and Travis counties until 6:30. So that's a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has just come out as of 30 seconds ago. So we're going to continue to see these warnings issued ahead of the main line. The conditions we have seen in downtown Austin, I don't think have been too terrible, actually.
Not too bad. A lot of heavy rain is that what we're seeing. And I mean, Blake, we suggested our coworkers head out and move their car. That was maybe a half hour ago. We were a little bit more worried about seeing hail. The good news is we haven't seen it. So maybe we overestimated this storm. So you can get on us about that. But we're not seeing any of the hail. So that is the good news.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to continue to watch these. We're going to continue to watch these thunderstorms as they continue to roll on through here for the evening hours. It looks like the good news here is that they are pushing through quickly. The heavy rain that we have seen isn't lasting terribly long, and the weather. Yes, we have seen a little bit of marble size and pea size hail, but all in all, the storms have been relatively well behaved, especially considering that the atmospheric conditions that we were looking at, over the last 24 hours indicated that we could have hail very large today. We could have 2.5 to 3 inch size hail, which would have been upwards of baseball size. And so far, thankfully, these storms have not produced that. And that is very good news, at least here in our part of Texas, from Austin to San Antonio. We did have some very large hail, 3-inch diameter hail up in central Texas to the west of Waco earlier today. but that did not translate down here in our neck of the woods, and for that we're thankful.
That is, and we always want you to play it safe, because if your car gets totaled by the hail, you can't reverse that. So always good to play it safe. But we're not seeing much of that hail, if at all, in the Austin metro. Just more of that heavy rain, but we need it. So that is the good news. We're seeing the heavy rain, and again, we were curious about how these storms would play out, because we saw, I believe, maybe earlier this morning, the enhanced risk, that's a level 3 out of 5, was extended all the way into Austin. When it started, when it was initially issued, it was just for Dallas. Things changed, though. Dallas changed into a slight risk. That's a level 2 out of 5. And then once you get a little bit further south into Waco, we have this enhanced risk for storms that goes through Killeen, all the way through Georgetown, Austin, San Marcos, past San Antonio, all the way down south of Del Rio, just meeting Laredo, there. So a very large chunk of the state. We know the state large as it is, but this is a very large area to be under an enhanced risk of storms, which means that the atmosphere is capable of producing numerous severe storms. So that's why we're staying live with this and why we're watching it very closely. We do still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for both of our Austin and San Antonio areas, metros, as well as all of the areas shaded in pink through the 9 p.m. hour. And then we'll see if the National Weather Service reevaluates and how they decide to move from there forward. Austin, we should be done with these storms by 9 p.m., but San Antonio, that's what we are continuing to watch, as we still have some time before we start to see the rain, the thunder and lightning, and the potential for some hail. But I think that since we stayed clear of hail in the Austin metro, San Antonio, you might be safe as well.
And you'll notice, Courtney, that they have dropped now the back half of Travis County out of the severe thunderstorm warning. So once this line of storms initially moves through, I think we're done for the day as far as the severe weather threat goes. You just have to, this line of storms has to rumble on through, and then we will be good to go. And I think it's going to be a pretty nice weekend. So those of you in San Antonio, yes, we're still concerned with you folks down there in northern Bexar County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. That is until 6 o'clock. I suspect that is going to be extended to include San Antonio in the next update. And these storms will continue to rumble through San Marcos, New Braunfels, and eventually getting out to the east, Brenham, Seguin, and then all the way down into the Corpus area and maybe even the Rio Grande Valley as we head into the wee hours of the morning on Saturday. But nonetheless, this is the line of storms where it's at. Excuse me. The good news here is that the severe threat is over once this initial line comes through, and that means for the Austin area, I think that we are just about done with it, as it is now pushing on off towards the east of I-35.
And that's a good thing about these lines of storms that we often get, is we can show this on radar, you find your location on the map, and you can be confident that once the line moves to the east of you, you are in the clear. And we're not expecting multiple rounds headed into tonight. Once this passes you, you're good for the weekend. The weekend is actually going to be really gorgeous. We're going to be sunny, and we have warm temperatures on the way. Saturday is going to be nice. Sunday, even warmer. We just have to let this line come in, and after that, we are in the clear for the weekend. So that is good news. Any new reports, Blake?
Yes, actually. We have a report now of golf ball size hail in downtown Bandera. So downtown Bandera, we have golf ball size hail falling there. That is going to be out to the north and west of San Antonio. And there's Bandera there. So you can see that hail core right there, that purple hail core. That's likely what went through downtown Bandera just a few minutes ago, that purple area right there that is sitting right along Highway 46. So Scenic Oaks heads up south of Bernie. This is headed your direction as far as the golf ball size hail is concerned. And a lot of hail reports out of Bandera and Kendall counties of about 1 inch in diameter. And we just got another report here of hail 3 miles west-southwest of Manor of about quarter size, about 1 inch in diameter. So a number of hail reports again, but nothing much larger than an inch, although we did have that one report there coming out of downtown Bandera of golf ball size hail.
And we were curious about that. We were looking in this general area on radar maybe 5 or so minutes ago, and we saw that purple starting to pop up. So we were definitely curious of whether some hail would start to show up. Like, there's a tab on the computer there you can go that says Tag Board Producer. We can toggle through some of the videos that we've been able to go on social media. A different tab there. It should be, if you go to the top of your screen on that computer, Tag Board Producer. Top near the tabs. Lots of video. Yeah, so you can go ahead and anywhere in there where that L is highlighted in red, the very bottom one, and anything in that row you can go ahead and click on. We can show some of the video that we have received this evening. And it's been a lot of hail, some of that pretty sunset there. But again, hail and heavy rain, that's kind of the bulk of what we have been seeing. We can take a look outside of our downtown Austin camera, show you what we're dealing with, and we are already starting to clear up. Look at that. So not maybe 30 minutes ago, we were kind of enveloped in low-grade visibility. We saw the rain coming down, but it looks like you can even now see some of that sunshine or sunlight, not a lot of sunshine, but sunlight at least, reflecting off of those taller buildings. You can see the Capitol there, and we had a flag to the left of the Capitol that was really waving maybe 10-15 minutes ago. We're already starting to die down, or we're starting to quiet down here in the Austin Metro. So now all eyes will be on the San Antonio Metro as the storms make their way to you. But for Austin this evening, we're wrapping up these storms, it looks like, as we look outside. And as we head into the weekend, we're going to clear out, and we're looking really nice. Here's a video from our meteorologist Megan Campbell earlier this evening. This was in northwest Austin, I believe, and she's showing heavy rain coming down, some hail, maybe pea size is what that looks like right there. We saw a lot of this really across the area this evening. This from Roy Garcia in Pflugerville, flashes of lightning, and I believe this one is a scud cloud, which can look kind of questionable. And can look a little bit scary, a little bit ominous, but that's what you're seeing there. Some high winds, more of that hail in Round Rock, that about pea-sized, major accumulation. Look at this. This was in Georgetown, quarter to dime size from tornado trackers maybe about 30 minutes ago. The hail has since stopped. You've got another video from our meteorologist Megan Campbell. This was out in, again, northeast Austin. Time lapse of those storms rolling through. Really stunning view there, and you can see that green color out in the distance. That's why Blake and I were initially worried about hail for the Austin area, is those green colors. You got to watch out for those. They can sometimes signify that you have hail coming in. You can watch those storms come through. This another picture of northeast Austin, a similar view to what Megan shared with us. You have that dark looking cloud and some green out in the distance as the storms approached the Austin Metro. Taking you back to radar now, storms still passing through Bandera, heavy rain. That hailed core does look to have shifted a little bit further to the east at this point. Still a lot of lightning involved with these storms. We can get a hail query on these to see just how large this hail was right along, I believe, Highway 46 there. This could even be, so I was about to say 2 inches, just shy of 2 inch in diameter, 1.9. So significant hail there. It does look like that threat is starting to diminish because these storms are quickly moving to the east. So your threat should be wrapping up here momentarily for those areas in Bandera. We do still have that severe thunderstorm warning for Bexar County and parts of Como counties through the 6:30 p.m. Hour. Hollywood Park, you're also involved in that warning. You're roped in. New Braunfels, you're in that warning. San Marcos, those areas along I-35 in that warning. We're going to have to wait to see if San Antonio itself will be also roped into the warning as those storms get a little bit closer. Austin, seeing the tail end of things here as those storms push through. Dripping Springs, you're probably noticing the rain getting a little bit lighter. Round Rock stopped raining entirely. Bastrop, you're still waiting on some of that heavier rain. Same with Lexington and Giddings, as you are under a warning until 6:30.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, Courtney, is that you'll notice that as these thunderstorms push through, look how quickly the warning drops off. So the National Weather Service here, they are canceling the warning as soon as the back edge of the rain is done. So once I think the main line of storms pushes through, we are done for the evening. Austin, we're just about done as far as the severe weather threat is concerned, and then it should be a nice evening ahead, followed by a beautiful weekend. But right now, these storms are pushing into the Brazos Valley. They are pushing out of the Austin area. They will be pushing into Bastrop County momentarily, and then after that, they will push on out of our viewing area. Then we will focus our attention down towards San Antonio again. This is the primary concern right now because of the fairly large hail core that we saw with that storm just east of Bernie. And again, you can still see it there in that purple area right there, right along Highway 16 and Highway 46. So we'll continue to watch this. We did have reports of golf ball size hail there in downtown Bandera about 15 minutes ago. But these storms are marching ever closer towards the San Antonio metro, and we want to make sure that you guys are aware that there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northwest Bexar County. That's until 6:30 and likely to be extended into the rest of Bexar County within about the next couple of minutes here. We're tracking more severe thunderstorms. This is going to be out towards the border region. Laredo, we know that you guys watch us down there. We are watching out for you. Heads up, you guys are under the enhanced risk of severe weather as well. We'll be watching these storms as they head into your region, heading into the late night hours tonight and into the wee hours of the morning, and eventually down towards the lower Rio Grande Valley as well. But back up to where we are. Austin to San Antonio. Once again, Austin, we're just about done with the severe weather right now, and they will be pushing into San Antonio before too long. So again, Austin, we're pretty much getting ready to sound the all clear here. If you are west of I-35, we are sounding the all clear. It is going to be a pleasant evening. In fact, let's take you back outside. There's downtown Austin right there. You can see the glow of sunlight on the high rises downtown, that pinkish glow. It's going to be a nice evening. It really is, and I think Mother Nature feels bad that she had to do that to us. So, but the bottom line here is the heavy rain continues to move on off to the south and east. Bastrop County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect, mainly for small hail and some gusty winds. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning out there in Brazos County. The Brazos Valley near Bryan College Station, Burleson County, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Robertson County, Milam County, Lee County, Bastrop County, Williamson County, we're done. That's good. Round Rock, we are in the clear. If you're watching up there from Georgetown to Round Rock, we are in the clear as far as severe weather is concerned. Austin, we're just about done. And Buda, you're getting the worst of it now, but it's just mainly heavy rain. Down towards Kyle, San Marcos, you're about to be in it as well. New Braunfels, you're about 15 minutes away before seeing that heavy rain move in, and then into San Antonio likely within the next hour. So all in all, Courtney, I think that the severe thunderstorms have been pretty well behaved. And just now, it looks like we have a brand new tornado warning that has just popped. Thankfully, not in our area, but that's going to be out towards the Bryan College Station area. It's very interesting. It looks like tornado warning there to the northeast of Bryan College Station, affecting about 471 people. That's a very rural part of Brazos County. But nonetheless, the weather has a little bit of an attitude tonight, and we're going to see it through until it clears most of the metropolitan areas. Real quick, I want to take a peek up here towards Dallas this evening. Not a whole lot going on up there towards Dallas. We have some, periodic heavy rain, but it looks like the severe weather threat for Dallas has pretty much come to an end. So they didn't really see a whole lot. They did see a little heavy rain, but it certainly could have been far worse. But back here into central Texas, once again, as we click on the radars, very heavy rain. We have seen a little bit of hail in these storms, but all in all, I think that they have been pretty well behaved. And now one thing that I'm seeing, Courtney, is this little green line starting to appear, and that's an outflow boundary, which tells me that that's some rain-cooled air beginning to push out ahead of that. So we may actually see this line of storms weaken a little bit, just a little bit, as they push into areas east of Austin. So we'll continue to watch it, but severe thunderstorm warnings in effect right now as they push into San Marcos, New Braunfels, and now getting into San Antonio, Bexar County. We're watching very closely. Pretty nasty hail core with this one as it pushes into Scenic Oaks, south of Bernie, north of Lake Hills, Hollywood Park. This is headed your direction. Timberwood Park, Hollywood Park, Castle Hills, north side of San Antonio, all likely to be included with some very heavy rain and small hail within about the next hour.
And that will be interesting, too, to see how that outflow boundary that Blake just pointed out impacts the storms coming towards San Antonio, because those of you in San Antonio, we're expecting rain for you, but you are not included in that severe thunderstorm warning. So if that outflow boundary weakens these storms at all, it might stay that way. You might stay out of the severe thunderstorm warning and just get some rain showers as the storms pass through. So it'll be interesting to see how these behave as they get a little bit closer into the metro area, because as you can see, once you get south of Hollywood Park, Castle Hills, not roped into that warning. So we'll have to continue to watch this. Again, a little bit of hail that we've seen between Bandera and Bernie. Otherwise, just some heavy rain, a lot of lightning associated, especially west of I-10 there. But this is something that we'll go ahead and stay with as it gets a little bit closer into San Antonio. Those of you in Austin, I think you can go ahead and enjoy your night. Storms are really kind of already wrapping up, or have wrapped up, for much of the Austin metro area.
And one thing I want to point out here, I really want to start focusing our attention on San Antonio. The reason why is because we have a lot of untapped energy down here. The weather has been pretty benign all day. Saw some peaks of sun. It was actually a pretty quiet Friday, all in all, there in Bexar County. So these storms that are developing here on the south side, on the northwest side of San Antonio, these are tapping into an atmosphere that really hasn't seen a whole lot, not just over the past couple of days, but over the last couple of months. I mean, San Antonio really has not been able to buy a drop of rain for the most part, and so we're dealing with a lot of untapped energy down here. So we're going to be watching for the threat of hail moving into San Antonio within about the next half hour to 45 minutes. So I suspect that we're going to see a severe thunderstorm warning issued for San Antonio. If not in the next 15 minutes, not much longer than that. So again, if you're watching from San Antonio, whether you're out there along the Riverwalk or you're near the Alamo Dome or whatever it is you're doing this evening, you need to be paying attention here, because your threat is just now beginning. While the threat is winding down for Wood Creek, Onion Creek, and Austin, and Dripping Springs, and Canyon Lake, those areas are winding down. San Antonio, we are winding up. So we are just now getting into the main threat zone with this thunderstorm activity as it pushes in. We're dealing with a hail potential that could produce golf ball to maybe even baseball size hail with these storms. Thankfully, we haven't seen a whole lot of that this evening. The biggest I have seen recently in the last hour has been golf ball size hail there in downtown Bandera. But again, these storms, we're sounding the all clear for Austin. That's good. It should be a pretty nice evening up there. But again, those of you in San Antonio, we do not want you to let your guard down. Your threat is just now beginning as these very intense thunderstorms continue to develop on off to your north and west and drop on off to the southeast at about 30 miles an hour. In fact, we could put a tracker on these storms as they push into Bexar County.
And the other thing to keep in mind, too, for those of you in Bexar County, the worst of our drought situations statewide is right in this area. That's where we've seen exceptional drought, which is the highest tier of drought. And where we have the highest levels of drought, you are more prone to flooding just because the soil isn't ready to absorb the heavy rainfall as it comes in. So for San Antonio, even if you don't see extremely large hail, I just want you to be on the lookout for flooding, as you are a little bit more prone to it.
Courtney, that's an excellent observation for sure. That the ground is very hard. They haven't had much rain. That was an excellent observation. And I would just want to point out real quick that they are now canceling the tornado watch for a large chunk of central Texas. So those of you watching from Bell, Bosque, Coryell, Falls, Hill, McLennan, and Milam County, that tornado watch has now been expired. So again, I'm not surprised as we take a look here at the watches. We should see them collapsed here as the main line pushes through. Our atmosphere is stabilizing, and there you go. So they have what's blinking there are the watches that remain in effect. But Waco, you are no longer included in this tornado watch. But one thing that has caught my eye, Courtney, is they have expanded the severe thunderstorm watch down towards the lower Rio Grande Valley, just to the west of Corpus Christi and to the west of McAllen. So those of you watching from Laredo, you have just been put under a severe thunderstorm watch. It looks like until, give me just a second to get the timing on this, until 11 o'clock. So this is going to be for Bede, Jim Wells, Victoria, Webb counties, and places of the like. So those of you down here in the Laredo area, that severe thunderstorm watch in effect now until 11 o'clock. That just now coming down from the Storm Prediction Center. But the good news is the tornado watch has been canceled for Waco and points west. We do have 4 counties that are still under that tornado watch, but again, we are not really expecting a whole lot more this evening in central Texas, and I suspect that we will see the watch begin to fall off for the Austin area and points west here momentarily now that that squall line has pushed on through. So a little bit of a silver lining there this evening that once the main line comes through, Courtney, that your severe weather threat will be ending.
And this has been the trend that we've seen all afternoon and into the evening. Once the rain comes through, the National Weather Service has been pretty quick to go ahead and chop counties out of those areas. It clears up really quickly after these lines come through. We're going to see, as Blake just said, we're going to see the same thing happen with Austin. You can probably expect your warning to be eliminated pretty quickly here. But for San Antonio, a different story. We're not seeing the rain yet. We're still waiting on it. We still have this warning for areas just to the north, Bernie, Scenic Oaks, seeing some heavy rain, even some hail. You can see what looks like it could be a hail core there just a tad to the west of Scenic Oaks. So as this comes down into San Antonio, main threats will be some hail. It's not out of the question. Some strong winds too as this comes in, I would imagine. And the other thing that we want you to be on the lookout for is some flooding. San Antonio has missed out on a whole lot of the rain events that we've had over the past several months. We did get some rain last week, which was beneficial, and we did actually see a drought for the immediate metro area was knocked down just a bit from rain that we've seen recently, but drought is still very high in those areas, which means you are at a higher risk for flooding. Let's take a look at some of the hail that we've seen. I mentioned that core just to the west of Scenic Oaks. That looks like it could be maybe just shy of 2 inches there on the diameter of that hail. So pretty good size. What do you think we would compare that to? We like to use different objects. What kind of ball would that be, do you think, Blake?
Likely to be closer to ping pong ball size, but keep in mind in downtown Bandera we did have golf ball size hail.
We did, yes. And that was just about 15-20 minutes ago that we saw the report of that. The hail has since shifted its way east, which will be the trend of all of the storms this evening. But yes, we did see a good amount of hail there. Hail there in Scenic Oaks about just shy of 2 inches. A little bit further north, closer to Bernie, hail diminishing, maybe a little bit over 1/2 of an inch there. So we'll watch the hail threat as it gets a little bit closer into the San Antonio metro.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm watching very carefully is going to be this little purple zone right here. That's a pretty decent little hail core. Once again, that's exactly where we saw the that hail core that we just showed you here. That's what it looks like on the composite radar, and you can see again that purple color indicating that hail core on this southern end or on the leading edge of that squall line. So those of you out there in Cross Mountain, Gray Forest, along Interstate 10 to the north and west of San Antonio, heads up, this is headed your direction. Although that's I need to do a little bit of research here on what's going on here. You notice that it's beginning to bulge out a little bit. Let's take a look at the velocities. I'm not really seeing anything as far as rotation goes. You see this area, let me see, I'll point it out to you. Let this loop one more time. And you'll notice this area right here, this green area. Watch right there, how it kind of drops off to the south. That looks like a big gust of wind that kind of fell out of that storm there. So some gusty winds certainly not out of the question as this pushes into San Antonio. But again, the main concern here with this is going to be some really, really large hail, upwards of 1 to 2 inches in diameter. And again, this is a part of Texas that has not really been tapped into as far as instability goes. We haven't really seen a whole lot of rain, period, over the last year in San Antonio. So this is really going to kind of rock our world here a little bit as this pushes into Bexar County. But the good news, same thing here. The same thing here is that we are now going to have to gear up and watch for some really strong weather. That being said, let's take one more look here at Austin. And those of you in Bastrop County, severe thunderstorm warning continues in the Giddings area. But Caldwell and Bastrop counties, we're going to continue to monitor these storms, but really just thinking that it's just going to be some heavy rain right now, pushing into your area. Severe thunderstorm warning continuing until 6:30, and we also have the flash flood advisory until 8:45 for Burnett, Travis, and Williamson counties. But now that things are beginning to calm down a little bit in the Austin area, at this time we are going to bid farewell to our Austin audience, and we are going to stay on in San Antonio and continue to track this severe weather threat. So those of you watching from Austin, in that area, the severe thunderstorms continue to march on off towards the east. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Bastrop County until about 6:30. That's for about another 22 minutes. And then after that, there is some heavy rain, and then it will come to an end, and it should be a pretty nice evening. We want to thank you for joining us here on Spectrum News 1. Meteorologist Blake Matthews here alongside meteorologist Courtney Aiken. We hope that you were kept informed, and we hope that you have a pleasant evening as this rain continues to push on through Bastrop County. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:30. Thank you for watching Spectrum News 1. We are going to continue our coverage now live in the San Antonio market. Good evening, everybody. Meteorologist Blake Matthews here alongside meteorologist Courtney Aiken. We are going to continue to track severe thunderstorms now pushing into the San Antonio area. These storms have been severe for the better part of the last hour or so as they are now pushing into New Braunfels, as they push out of Boerne, out of Bandera, and are now encroaching in on northwestern portions of Bexar County. And that's where we're really going to focus our attention on not only heavy rain, thunder, and lightning, but we are going to be talking about the possibility of larger hail. And Courtney, what we're seeing here on radar appears to be a pretty decent hail core that continues to hang on.
It does, and it's been hanging out right in this same area. We saw it in Bandera, moving a little bit towards Boerne. It has since moved south of that area. Now we're seeing it just to the west of Cross Mountain. That purple color there, that's going to be your hail core. So out there on Highway 16, heavy rain coming down, obviously some lightning, these storms making some noise, but also hail, a good possibility. We've seen hail about 2 inches in diameter in that general area just to the northwest of Helotes there. Hollywood Park starting to tap into the rainfall. The heaviest stuff is still to come. Same thing for San Antonio. And I wonder if we can take a look at the San Antonio tower cam, because we're still not seeing a lot, but we can keep an eye on the camera, give you a live look, and kind of watch the storm as it comes in. That's going to be on Weather 3, and that might actually still be the downtown Austin camera. So we're seeing storms. We've let go of our Austin viewers, but if you Control X, Blake, and you go on Weather 3, we can pull up our live view of San Antonio. Maybe it looks a little bit clear like what we're seeing in downtown Austin, but the rain is still on its way for those of you in San Antonio. So your live view should come up here momentarily. It'll be a look of downtown. So there's what you're working with live. You can see a little bit on the left side of your screen, some darker clouds. So that's going to be indicative of the rain on its way. But for right now, still not seeing much. So that's our preview, and we'll take you back to the live view once we get a little bit closer to, or once we start seeing more of the rain coming into the area. It's still off to the northwest of us at this time, starting to pick up a little bit of it. And we're also seeing, look at that, the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Bexar County. So this polygon here cuts all the way through downtown San Antonio, and most of the metro area, most of I-10 there, takes you all the way out toward Elmendorf and to the northwest of San Antonio, or northeast, excuse me, of San Antonio as well. So within this area, through the 7 p.m. hour, we will be watching for high winds, some hail too. Again, we're watching this hail core right here. If this holds on, we could be getting some hail in the San Antonio metro. So that's a concern, as well as some flooding. That could very well be possible for the San Antonio metro area. So for those of you out there, maybe at Fiesta, along the Riverwalk, that can get a little bit dicey when we have these storms coming in. It's a lot of heavy rainfall in a short amount of time. So that's something to keep in mind. Meteorologist Blake Matthews here has drawn a tracker so we can give you an idea of just when you might see the activity pick up in your neighborhood. So you're looking at Oakland Estates, 6:25 p.m., 6:30 for Communicare Health. Castle Hills, 6:34. Nix Medical Center, that'll be 6:45. Same with San Antonio, right there in the metro area, 6:45. That's when you're going to see the storms start to roll through. 6:51 for Kirby. You're not going to see it until just about 7 o'clock for China Grove, East Central Stadium, about 10 past the 7 p.m. hour, and 7:15 for St. Hedwig. So that's your ETA, and you are under the warning now, so we are confident that these storms will be impactful as they roll through. And there's your hail core right now, that purple over Gray Forest. That's where we're seeing some hail now. Babcock Road right there in the north of San Antonio, seeing some hail. So we can go ahead and take a look at just how large of hail you might be seeing in that area. What we've seen within the past 20-30 minutes has been up to about 2 inches in diameter. That does look to be what we're seeing to the north of Gray Forest. So again, 1.9 in diameter, just shy of 2 inches, and that's going to be to the west of Cross Mountain. That hail core has been hanging out in that general area, and we'll be watching it closely as these storms continue to trek their way into the San Antonio metro. Again, arrival time does look to be about 6:45 p.m. So you've got about 30 minutes until you'll start to see some heavy rain, winds likely picking up, and a little bit of flooding. Not going to rule it out. It's a little bit more common in those areas that don't get a lot of rain. And I mean, we all know San Antonio has missed out on a lot of the rain that we've seen in the past several months. So.
Absolutely. And one thing that I really want to get down to street level here, because this is a pretty nasty hail core. So those of you that are out in Shavano Park, Hollywood Park, out along Blanco Road, if you're watching from Wurzbach Parkway, Castle Hills, Leon Valley, let's see if we can get in a little closer here to see if you can see some of your local neighborhood roads. Babcock Road, Blanco Road, Vance Jackson Road. Now is the time to get your car under some sort of awning or garage as this hail core continues to move on off to the southeast. I-10, Interstate 10, north and west of San Antonio. This hail core is going to pass right over the interstate. Wurzbach Parkway, again. Nacogdoches Road. Jones Maltzberger Road. Again, now is the time to be getting your vehicle under some sort of awning or garage as this hail core continues to move southeast in your direction. So see if we can get in a little tighter here in some of these roads. De Zavala Road, Saddle Tree, Blanco Road, Hubner Road, Lock Hill Selma Road, UTSA Boulevard. This hail core is just to your north and west, and there it is. It is moving in. There's the hail core right there. So those of you out there along I-10 to west of Shavano Park, along the North Loop 1604. So we're at 1604 and I-10 cross on the north side of San Antonio. This hail core is about to pass right over that intersection. And we're getting reports now of pea-sized hail on the Texas State San Marcos campus. This is going to be to the north, obviously, of San Antonio out in Comal, and parts of Hays counties picking up some hail there. But the area that we're really concerned about, you can see just how bright purple that area is, and that is going to be a pretty nasty hail core moving into the northwest side of San Antonio.
And I'm just browsing here, Blake, trying to find, see if we can get some visuals of that hail. So that'll take a few moments to maybe dig some of those up. But that is something that we're going to be watching for, and especially those of you at the university campus. You might be seeing some of that right now. Meanwhile, downtown San Antonio,
look how dark it's getting now.
Darker out there.
Yeah, you see those storms really beginning to move in now. As we take a live look out over downtown San Antonio, these storms, they mean business. And again, we're picking up lots of hail reports now as these storms continue to move into town. So again, we can't stress enough, if it's not raining at your place, now is the time to get that vehicle under some sort of awning, to get it under some sort of protection from this hail core that continues to move on off to the south and east. Now, one thing that I find interesting here, I always am a little leery when I see this green line appear. And you see that green line, it'd help if I turn on the radar for the viewers. You can see that green line right here pushing out ahead of the main squall line. And what that is, that little thin green line you see right there, that is an outflow boundary. That is rain-cooled air that is hugging the ground. And what that does, or what it can do, is it can choke off thunderstorms. It can cause them to weaken. And so far we have not seen that. We have not seen these storms weaken a whole lot. But even if we could get them to weaken just a little bit to get rid of those hail cores, that would certainly be a good thing as it pushes into a very densely populated portion of Bexar County, obviously home of San Antonio. So those of you out there in central San Antonio inside 1604, probably going to see the wind kick up here a little bit. Yeah, that's a very classic reaction to a outflow boundary that pushes through. You get a fresh breeze is how I like to describe it, a fresh breeze that'll push through. You see the flags kind of sticking straight out, and it sort of cools off a little bit. That's that outflow boundary that is pushing in, and it is just ahead of the main line of storms that continues to push southeast into San Antonio. And for that reason, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Bexar County now until 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, that's going to be that new portion of the warning. You can see here, this polygon right here is going to be the 7 o'clock severe thunderstorm warning. So this severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock. We're getting reports now of quarter-size hail, 1 inch in diameter. This is going to be in Leon Springs, 1 mile west of Leon Springs in Bexar County. That's going to be in northwest Bexar County. And you can see exactly where it's coming from. It's coming from that hail core. It's coming from that hail core right there. So it's just crossing over I-10 and 1604. I-10 and 1604, that's where that hail is falling. And it's just not too far away from Alamo Heights. So if you're watching from Alamo Heights, you may get some small hail in the next couple of minutes as this continues to push into San Antonio.
And you know, current time, Blake, I mean, we're still in the time frame where people are maybe getting ready to head home from work or head out to dinner, things like that. And we do have some pretty hefty storms coming through. San Marcos, you're seeing those right now, and they're headed for San Antonio. So it's a busy time of day. Lots of people have commutes to make, but these storms, we're going to have to watch them closely because wind will pick up. We're going to have that heavy rain, and conditions aren't going to be absolutely ideal for driving around it, especially if we do see that hail core to the north of San Antonio continue to move its way in. That could really make for some messy conditions out there.
It sure can, and we're picking up nickel to quarter-size hail at I-10 and Dominion. I-10 and Dominion, that's that hail core we were just looking at. So nickel-size hail falling there on the north side of Bexar County. Lots of hail reports coming in, upwards of about an inch in diameter. Very typical of what we have seen all afternoon from storms that continue to push through central and north Texas. So that's sort of what we're looking at. Right now, these storms are generally pretty well behaved. They're doing exactly what we thought they would be doing, and that is producing some small hail, a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, and some heavy rain. I want to take you back out over downtown San Antonio. Things continue to darken up there. My goodness. You see the left side of your screen. So we must be looking on off towards the north, being that the dark clouds are to our left.
And we're going to continue to seeing, I mean, we're right at the beginning of this. So those of you watching from the San Antonio downtown area or right there in the metro, we're right at the beginning. I mean, we really haven't seen anything yet. You're looking outside and seeing those clouds darkening up. So the rain, it's well on its way. Again, I think we had, when we tracked down the storms, we had an ETA of about 6:45 p.m. So we're getting a little bit closer, 6:25 right now, about 20 more minutes. We're going to continue to see things darken up, and then the rain will start to come down.
Yeah, so let's take you back to the radar here. We will put a tracker on we'll put an arrival time on these storms as they push into our region, moving at about 30 miles an hour, I would say. So that puts us in Northcliffe at 6:24, Selma at 6:27, Live Oak at 6:30, Windcrest at 6:35, Kirby at 6:43, San Antonio 6:47. Looks like Valley High at 6:54, St. Hedwig at 7:01. So these are some times of arrival here of this strong line of thunderstorms, again severe, mainly for the threat of hail up to about 1 inch in diameter. So 1 inch in diameter hail is the primary threat with these thunderstorms as they continue to march right into San Antonio. San Antonio, I don't know how you avoid it. I really don't, not at this point. I think we are pretty much locked in to get some very heavy rain across central Bexar County. This is a good thing. This is a very drought-stricken part of Texas. I have not seen a whole lot of rain over the past year, a little bit, but certainly not as much as we have needed, especially for the Edwards Aquifer and all the other aquifers here in central Texas that have been really depleted of water, being that we just haven't had much rain. So we're getting a report here of some golf ball size hail, Gray Forest area. In the Gray Forest area, reporting some golf ball size hail reported by a sheriff's deputy.
We do have, actually, if we go to tag board, a couple of visuals that I've been able to track down of some of that hail. This one, not quite as big as the report that just came in. What did you say that was a golf ball size?
Golf ball, yes.
Yeah, so this, not quite that size, not as big, but some visuals starting to come in right here. You've got a view of the storm in Bexar County, hail core from the northwest side. You can definitely see that in the green hue there. And then another video coming out of San Antonio, really coming down, rain, hail, and lightning at the rim there. That's San Antonio weather on Twitter.
And that's very, very typical of what we have seen all afternoon here across, not just the San Antonio area, but the Austin area and up towards Waco and areas to the west of there. So these storms have sort of held their own. A few of them did go tornadic earlier this afternoon, but honestly, most of them have just been very heavy rain producers and some small hail. And periodically we get a report here of some golf ball size hail that we have seen out towards Bandera, not too far away from Bernie. But speaking of Bernie, things are calming down there now as we zoom on up there. Just a little bit of light to moderate rain. That severe thunderstorm warning coming to an end now, so it looks like you guys are in the clear. And that hail core that was very prolific over 1604 and I-10 seems to have weakened a little bit as well, and you can see why. More than likely because of that outflow boundary, that little green line that has has kind of outrun the thunderstorms behind it, and that is helping to kind of choke off the inflow to these thunderstorms, causing them to weaken a little bit. But nonetheless, if you look carefully, there's still a hail core on there.
Still some hail there. A little
Sure
bit of
is.
lightning.
Yeah, sure is. Just to the west of Hollywood Park.
But everything to the north of that, I mean, it is tapering off for places like Bernie and Bandera. For those of you there, it's probably not even raining there anymore. It's moving out. So these storms are quickly moving through, and once the line passes, I mean, we've been saying this all night long, but once this moves through, you're free to enjoy your weekend, and it's gonna be a nice one after this all gets through.
I definitely think it's going to be. In fact, you can see how these warnings extend now all the way into Montgomery County, getting into the Houston area, northern Waller County, Grimes County, Washington County. So these storms are holding their own as they push into southeast Texas. But again, the threat is going to be the same regardless. It's going to be large hail and some gusty winds, and that's exactly what we're expecting to see here in downtown San Antonio, all across Bexar County. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for a large chunk of Bexar County now until 7 o'clock as this main line of storms continues to push on off towards the south and east. And honestly, it looks like that hail core has just about vanished there in northwest Bexar County. This is good news. We don't mind the heavy rain. We just don't want the hail, and we don't want the gusty winds. It looks like we may have lucked out here.
I think we are starting to, I mean, the hail, if we're not going to get that, I mean, while there are hazards here, we're worried about high wind speeds and heavy rain, which could cause a little bit of flooding. We are under that severe thunderstorm warning, but this is also, you have to keep in mind, this is very beneficial rain for this part of the state. We've had exceptional drought for the area just to the northwest of San Antonio into the hill country for weeks. The drought just hasn't budged in that area. So this rain coming through, there are hazards to this line of storms, of course, but this is very beneficial to this part of the state.
It absolutely is, and it's obviously not going to be a drought buster. It's not going to be a drought buster, but we'll take what we can get. And this severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, affecting 1.5 million people right across the heart of Bexar County. And we've zoomed in especially tight here into San Antonio. And we're just going to watch the progression of this storm as it pushes on in. In fact, let's take you back outside to downtown San Antonio. Believe it or not, it looks like a peak of sun there on that one pointy building.
Completely out of place, too. I mean, you see the sunshine completely reflecting off that building. Then what behind it just looks like a backdrop because it's getting so dark with those storms that at this point they're probably just about 10 minutes out from you all in downtown San Antonio.
Yeah, and we're getting some pea-sized hail near San Antonio's northwest side at Wurzbach and Vance Jackson. And those are some of the streets we called out just a few moments ago. Getting some pea-sized hail. So, out of all the reports I've seen, I'm not overly impressed. Obviously, we want people to be aware, and we want people to take the storm seriously as they push in. But we haven't seen a lot of very large hail reports. Anything bigger than golf ball, we certainly haven't seen. And a golf ball size report here or there, but most of the reports that we have had have been pea size and or marble size.
Agreed. And when it comes to hail, those smaller sizes, they're going to make the road a little bit slick, but it's very manageable. That level of hail, it won't dent your car or anything like that. And I think we're going to get lucky in San Antonio with that outflow boundary weakening the storms a little bit, breaking those hail cores apart. So you might see a little bit of that smaller size hail, that pea-sized hail, but when it comes to larger hail, I think we might be in the clear of that.
We can only hope. I mean, we don't want to sound the all clear as of yet, but the trends are certainly going in our favor here. So let's zoom on in. And again, I don't see... You see those purples? How they just kind of vanish?
Mm-hmm.
Watch this area here. You see that purple just kind of go away as it pushes into Hollywood Park. So these storms are strong, but I don't see the hail.
Looking a little bit less likely to see some of that. For example, those of you in Alamo Heights, that rain, heavy rain, just a couple of minutes out from you, but hail, you might actually not see that. You might get away without it.
That would be nice. I mean, we certainly need the rain in this part of Texas. We need a lot more than we're going to get tonight, I can tell you that. Even if we pick up 1-2 inches of rain, we need to add about 20 on top of that before we even think about getting back to normal. We've been severely dry in this part of Texas. In fact, I think we ended the year 2022 19 inches below normal for the year of 2022. And I'll tell you, 2023 hasn't started off much better. So, we're going to continue to watch here as these storms drop on in. This is a good thing. This is water that is desperately needed here in south central Texas. We're going to get that tonight. We're not going to get a lot of hail with this, it looks like, as the hail core has sort of fallen apart. But a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. I don't think that this is going to really rattle any fillings tonight. I don't think it's going to throw people out of bed, so to speak.
Exactly.
I think this is just a good old-fashioned Texas thunderstorm, pretty much run-of-the-mill. And again, I think this is more beneficial than it is anything else.
Absolutely, yeah. We love to see the rain this part of Texas. We absolutely need it, and it's good that this isn't going to be drought-busting rain, because that would mean that we were getting enough rain to cause major flooding. So it's not going to be that either. It's going to be relatively short-lived. Once it's through, it's done. We have sunshine for the weekend, and even for this evening, it's not going to rain all night. So if you still have plans for tonight, you can still get out there once the storms are through. And I think by maybe 9-10 p.m., I think you should be okay.
I think so, and like I said, we're zoomed in pretty tight here into downtown San Antonio. We're watching that heavy rain, the leading edge of that storm, now cross over 410 and 1604 on the northwest side. But again, nothing that is alarming, nothing that's cause for concern that I've seen. And that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock likely will be extended to the east-southeast, but by that point, it will be moving out of San Antonio, and we should be in for a pretty quiet evening. Getting a report now of golf ball-size hail, Gray Forest in Bexar County. Looks like emergency managers there reporting golf ball size, 1.75-inch hail, reported by a sheriff's deputy there in Gray Forest. So, it is. I mean, there is some golf ball size hail in this, but here's another report coming in, pea to nickel size hail.
The larger hail has just been very spotty.
Very spotty. It sure has. And so again, a little bit of pea-size hail, not totally out of the question. Marble-size hail, maybe some golf ball-size hail. Again, we just had that report come in from Gray Forest from a sheriff's deputy. But all in all, these storms are generally pretty well behaved. Hollywood Park getting report of 1-inch hail, about quarter size, now pushing into northwest sides of Bexar County. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock for central Bexar County. That does include the core of San Antonio. This storm appears to be holding its own, but it's certainly not strengthening. I'm not seeing a hail core in this any longer, but that doesn't mean that it's still not hailing. We have now a new report coming in, dime-size hail on the north side of San Antonio. And these storms extend all the way up to San Marcos. San Marcos, you're nearly done with the rain. New Braunfels, you're nearly done with the rain. And then we start getting up into the Austin area. But not too long to go. We should be done with the rain here in about an hour in central San Antonio. About an hour from now, we should be done.
I've been trying to find some visuals of hail to show you all, but a lot of it we haven't been able to find much when it comes to the golf ball size hail. I haven't seen any pictures of it. We've seen the reports, and we've seen the report. There have been reports in North Texas, and we've seen the reports that just came in north of San Antonio, but I haven't seen the photos of it. Most of what we're seeing when it comes to pictures and videos are just that smaller hail. It's pea-sized. It's not something that's going to do much damage. Right now you're taking a look at downtown San Antonio. things still looking dark out there, a little bit different than what we saw a few moments ago. We have now, in addition to those darker clouds, you can just see, maybe you caught that far left side of your screen, a flash of lightning out there. So the storm's starting to move in. I mean, if you look closely, you can kind of see those clouds very slowly edging across your screen.
Yeah, and it certainly looks ominous, but it is just heavy rain and a little bit of pea-sized hail, some thunder and lightning, but again, nothing that we aren't overly used to here in this part of Texas. These storms are not tornadic. We're not worried about tornadoes this evening, but again, this is more of a good thing than it is anything else. Quarter-inch hail coming down in Giddings. That's going to be up closer to the east of Austin, so that's going to be well removed from San Antonio. But again, let's zoom on down into the Alamo City, and we are seeing now, again, we're now seeing that very heavy rain starting to push on through. So Leon Valley out there along the northwest side of 410, and soon to be closing in on the Alamo in downtown San Antonio. So any tourists out there, hopefully they're watching us on their Spectrum News app, and they're getting the heads up now that it's about to pour buckets there in downtown San Antonio. All those tourists out there at the Wax Museum.
And I mean, all the folks at Fiesta too.
And Fiesta, that's right.
You're gonna get rained on. So hopefully, if you got tickets for tonight, maybe I hope that you can get tickets for tomorrow too, because tonight is gonna be a little bit wet, but tomorrow is gonna be really nice. And Sunday, that's gonna be the last day. That's going to be nice too. But tonight you will have to deal with at least maybe a good 30 minutes of some heavier rain there and a little bit of hail. I did find a video here. We'll take you over to Weather 9. This is a lot of what we've been seeing in the San Antonio area. So you can see it's small hail, high winds. That's what we're also seeing. Otherwise, the big hail, the golf ball size hail, it has happened this evening, but it's been very spotty. It's not a widespread thing.
Yeah, and we're just getting a lot of reports now of pea-sized hail coming into central San Antonio. Nothing that's overly pressing. Again, I think this is more of a good thing than anything. Pea-sized to marble-sized hail. But that really is about the gist of the worst of this thunderstorm, maybe some gusty winds as well. But again, we are not looking at tornadic conditions tonight. We are not concerned with tornadoes out of this thunderstorm. But there is certainly a lot of lightning. In fact, I could tell you exactly how many. Let me put a pause point on this and draw a square. About 371 lightning strikes over the last 10 minutes. So not a whole lot, but a good number.
I mean, it seems like a lot, but it's actually not too bad with these thunderstorms. We've been kind of saying that this is sort of just a typical Texas thunderstorm, and looking outside downtown San Antonio, still doesn't look too bad out there. You got the dark clouds moving in, but the rain will come momentarily, and again, a good thing. We need the rain, and we're not expecting any major negative impacts from this. You can see a little bit of a lightning there on the left side of your screen as these get ready to move over downtown.
Was it Luke Bryan that sang "Rain is a Good Thing"?
Was that him? I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Rain is a good thing. That's right. Yeah, and you can see now the leading edge of that nasty weather pushing on into downtown San Antonio. We're seeing the lightning. I'm seeing some raindrops now. So for the most part, the heavy rain and the severe thunderstorm itself is now pushing into downtown San Antonio. And again, this shouldn't last too long. Once the rain comes to an end, then that will be it for the night, and we will be in for a nice weekend. Let's just hang on this shot here just for a little bit, and we'll watch, sort of like we've done for the last couple of metro areas across Texas, we'll watch the skylines disappear. Oh, that was a nice bolt of lightning.
That was nice. That was a good one.
And remember, if you can hear thunder roar, go indoors because you're close enough to be hit by lightning. But yeah, we'll sit here and watch the skyline of San Antonio disappear as the very heavy rain comes in. We're seeing a lot of lightning strikes here across downtown San Antonio. Very heavy rain and some small hail, a likely possibility as we take a live look out over downtown San Antonio from our Thomas J. Henry cam. And we're just going to watch this for a few moments here. You can see that rain shield on the left side of your screen. now beginning to push on in. A lot of lightning with this storm, upwards of about 400 lightning bolts in the last 10 minutes. And if we're super duper lucky, we may see one of those lightning bolts hit the top of some of those high rises downtown. Obviously, it wouldn't hurt them. They've got lightning rods and whatnot to redirect that energy. But we'll watch here for a few minutes as we'll show you what the radar looks like. There it is. You can see that storm pushing into downtown San Antonio right now. The leading edge of that severe thunderstorm pushing in right now into downtown San Antonio. And again, that's a live look from our Thomas J. Henry cam.
It almost looks like that camera might be shaking just a little bit, so winds picking up as this starts to come through. So if you are maybe downtown around Fiesta, hang on to your hats. It's going to get windy. Maybe find an awning to step under for the time being. But yeah, a little bit of that shaking going on as we see the leading edge, as Blake said, start to come through downtown.
We should see the onset of heavy rain here any moment in downtown San Antonio. The leading edge is right at the city center's edge right now, just getting ready to cross over I-10, moving over the Alamo Dome. We'll be pushing into the core of the city here literally at any moment. 30 seconds to a minute from now, we should see the heavy rain start to fall here over downtown San Antonio. Again, as this very heavy rain pushes on in. There's another look at the radar right now, and you can see how the very heavy rain continues to encroach on the central part of San Antonio. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock, affecting 1.5 million people. And again, it's right on the city's edge. So we'll go back to our downtown tower cam as we watch these storms continue to barrel on through.
And those of you in San Antonio, downtown especially, it's really just a waiting game. We've been toggling between this live camera and the radar shows us that the heavy rain, it's right there, maybe a couple minutes away. So we're just really waiting on these storms to sweep through, for that heavy rain to come down, and we'll see how the storms behave as they move through. But really what we've been seeing is just some smaller hail. We've got gusty winds, and we are expecting, of course, that heavier rain, but other than that, we're not expecting any major impacts, other than maybe some roadway flooding is possible.
Let's take you back here to the radar, zoom out just a little bit. Interestingly enough, you'll notice that the severe thunderstorm warning has been dropped now for San Marcos and New Braunfels. That severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for areas to the north of San Antonio. So all of these areas between New Braunfels and San Marcos up towards Dale, this part of the line is no longer severe. The severe part rolling through downtown San Antonio and up there towards the LaGrange area. Let's zoom out a little bit more. And we are right on the tail end of that line. Out there in Hondo, you're not going to get much.
Yeah, you're really just getting missed by it. We had, the line seemed like it had maybe a little bit of a tail as it came through Bernie, but that's sort of fizzled out. Hondo, you might miss out on this entirely. Those of you in Castroville probably going to get some rain, but otherwise, you're cut just out of that severe thunderstorm warning.
Let's see if we can zoom in a little tighter here. There we go. So that's taking us right into the heart of downtown San Antonio. Very heavy rain now pushing in. Nothing that we haven't told you already. I'm not seeing any hail cores on this storm as it pushes in, which is good. But very heavy rain, obviously, pushing through as we speak. And that's severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock. There's the rain. And
there we go. You got the raindrops on the camera. The camera's still maybe shaking ever so slightly with the gusty winds picking up, but rain has arrived. We've been kind of looking at this camera, waiting for it, and here it is. We'll see this maybe for about 30 more minutes at the very least, but in the next couple hours, we're going to clear back up, and it is going to be a nice evening on the other side of this.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be a pretty nice evening. We've got about an hour to go before this begins to move on out of the San Antonio region. Whoops, let me Hit that button there. And this takes us back to the live radar. Again, severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. That's about another 15 minutes. So far, these storms are pretty well behaved. P to marble-sized hail falling out of this, but that really is about the extent of it as the storm pushes on in.
Probably, for those of you in town, probably making a lot of noise, though. Lots of lightning, and that means probably a whole lot of thunder, too. So probably hear some of that, see some of the lightning as it comes through. We've seen a little bit of that through our live camera of downtown San Antonio. So some lightning bolts, some heavy rain, duck under an awning, or just head inside if you can. You do want to be inside, especially when there's lightning involved. It can be dangerous. But other than the lightning, the heavy rain, a little bit of small hail, still not out of the question. That's really the extent of this group of storms that's moving through San Antonio. Still have that severe thunderstorm warning that will be in effect for the next 15 minutes till 7 p.m. That's going to affect Bexar County, Medina County, and Guadalupe County, affecting over 1 million people there. So quite a few people going to see the rain tonight, and in San Antonio, that's a good thing. We haven't seen much of it. We've been at a deficit for several months now, so any rain that we can get is certainly a good thing. One thing to remember, and if you've been with us the past 30 minutes or so, we've said it before, but one thing to just bear in mind, San Antonio, with all the drought going on, the soil not quite ready to absorb the rain. It's not prepped for that, so for that reason, we can get a little bit more flooding in places like San Antonio and in the hill country just to the west and northwest.
And what we're looking at here is the severe weather outlook through tonight. The Storm Prediction Center still has us in an enhanced risk. This is a level 3 out of 5. The good news here is these storms really, I don't think, have reached the bar of being overly severe, a little bit of pea size and marble size hail. And then I think once the severe thunderstorm warning expires for San Antonio coming up here in about 13 minutes, I feel comfortable enough to send this back to programming, and we will break in maybe once every 10 minutes to keep updated here on these storms as they push through San Antonio. But they are marginally severe, seeing some pea-size hail as these storms push on through, but these storms are not tornadic, and we are not expecting any tornadoes this evening here in San Antonio, but the rain is certainly a good thing. You see a number of severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect here around the region. And as we zoom into our little corner of Texas, you can see the severe thunderstorm warning over San Antonio is really the only game in town. You have to go well up to the north and east, up towards Bastrop, before you find another warning. So the southern end of this line, it is strong, but it's not looking as robust as it was. I'm not seeing any purples in this line any longer, but we're still getting some pea-size hail reports, so that does not surprise me. But pea-size hail does not mean severe. It has to be 1 inch in diameter to meet the threshold of severe, and so far we haven't seen a whole lot of that in the last couple of minutes. So this storm, again, looks like it's weakening a little bit, the outflow boundary doing its job as expected, and as this continues to roll into San Antonio, we will see see some heavy rain, and then that will be it as far as the severe weather threats. So again, we'll hang with this for a few more minutes, and then we'll see what the Weather Service does. But right now, this storm does not look to be overly severe any longer, even though we are getting reports of some small hail, pea-sized to marble-sized hail inside Bexar County, but it has to meet the threshold of 1 inch in diameter, which is about quarter size, to be considered severe. A couple of pockets maybe, but the storm definitely seems to be on a downward trend, and that's a good thing. So we'll hang with this for a few more minutes, and then we will send it back to programming.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that it looks pretty good overall for a severe warned storm. This is pretty mellow, so that is what we like to see. We're getting what we want out of it. We're getting the rain and a little bit of hail, so we do have that. That could make the roadways slick, so just keep that in mind if you do need to head out somewhere in the next 30 minutes or so. But otherwise, the threat does look a little bit lower than it did a little bit earlier in the day for this line of storms. And after this passes through, we're going to clear out the rest of the night, and we're going to wake up to sunshine for our Saturday morning. So that will be really nice.
It certainly will. I think the weekend is shaping up to be a pretty one across the region. It'll be nice and cool on your Saturday, much warmer on Sunday. And then it should be a nice dry couple of days as we head into early next week. So this is really the price that we have to pay, and it's not a bad price because we need the rain.
It's a sale. It's a sale almost.
Exactly. And we know sales. I like a good sale. So the bottom line here is, yes, it is raining, but if you watch carefully, that storm certainly seems to be kind of pulsing down a little bit as this green line, this little outflow boundary that we've been watching right there, kind of pushes out of ahead of that thunderstorm, and it has helped choke it off a little bit, and we have seen it weaken as it pushes into San Antonio, which is why we are getting a little bit of pea-sized hail, but we're not really seeing a lot of the super big hail that we were fearing as this was pushing on in. So a little tighter look there. I'm beginning to wonder if areas of southern Bexar County are even going to get rain at all.
I know, it almost looks like this line, it's just going to miss them. You can see Castroville even might just get a little bit of rain, and that's probably about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that really is it. We'll stick with this for another few minutes here until the warning expires, and then we will take it back to programming as things begin to wind down here across south central Texas. So this is really good news. We got the rain we needed. Unfortunately, some parts of Bexar County may not get wet at all, which is surprising.
And there you see it, downtown. This is a live view from our Thomas J. Henry tower camera. Rain coming down, visibility. It's honestly okay for a heavy rain event. Sometimes when you're looking out of these cameras in downtown metro areas, you can't even see the big skyscrapers out in the background. So this isn't all too bad when it comes to visibility. But it is rainy out there. Roads will be wet for the next hour or so. You might still see some ponding even after the rain stops. So in low-lying areas that do tend to flood, if you come across any flooding, just make sure that you find a different route. You might see a little bit of that this evening after the rain comes to an end.
Yeah, and this is a really good thing watching downtown San Antonio here, the heavy rain coming down. Again, nothing overly severe with this. The storm really pulsing down right now. Heavy rain, some small hail, but we do believe that this warning will be allowed to expire coming up at the top of the hour, and we will be returning it to programming. Again, this is a good thing. Once this storm ends, once the rain ends at your place, I think we are done for the evening, and we will be in for a pretty nice weekend. But those of you out in Luling, Seguin, or anywhere east of San Antonio, heads up, the heavy rain is going to be pushing your direction pretty quick. This line now getting a pretty swift kick here. So Seguin, St. Hedwig, Luling, and then eventually out towards Gonzales. This is all headed your direction. So get ready for the onset of heavy rain. But I am stunned that certain parts of Bexar County may not catch a drop of rain.
I know, and that is disappointing almost, because we've been talking about the San Antonio area of all the metro areas in Texas is one that really does need the rain. South Central Texas could use it. The drought there is bad. So ideally, we'd want all of Bexar County to tap into this rain event, but this storm is kind of pulsing, and we might not even see rain in some parts of the loop there. Blake is pointing out.
410 may stay completely dry on the south side of town. That's stunning. Boy, it's coming down, though, there in downtown San Antonio, and that's good.
And we are just now getting from the National Weather Service that this storm has been, it's still pulsing up to severe levels sporadically. So the National Weather Service actually will be doing another warning for Bexar County. So at 7 p.m. they will issue that, and we'll have to see what that looks like.
Well, that's okay. They're likely going to do that for hail.
Just probably some more of what we've been seeing, that smaller hail. Some of you who are in the line of those storms, so if you're maybe a little bit further to the southeast of the San Antonio metro, it's still a possibility that you'll see a little bit of that small hail. Again, we have seen golf ball-sized hail. There have been reports out of this line of storms, but most of what we've seen has been sub-severe. It's small hail.
And we'll continue to monitor this storm as it pushes off towards the south and east. Again, San Antonio, you're getting the brunt of it right now, but it will soon be exiting on off towards the east. And I guess that the Weather Service is going to go ahead and issue yet another severe. I'm a little surprised by that, given that most of the hail that we have seen has been sub-severe limits, which is 1 inch in diameter or less.
And you can watch as the rain kind of comes in. We've been watching it along with the outflow boundary just in front of it, and it does look like the outflow boundary may have weakened the group of storms just a bit. I mean, it's slightly less organized, it looks like, as it's pushing through San Antonio itself.
There's the new warning right there. You can see that they have extended just barely on off towards the east. This new warning in effect until 8 o'clock. This is going to be for Bexar, Guadalupe, and Wilson counties, affecting another 1.5 million people. Of course, a lot of that has already been affected or was included in the previous warning. But again, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued until 8 o'clock for this area here in western Gonzales County and Wilson counties, just barely extended. I find that so interesting.
They just barely shifted to the southeast.
To the south and east. So, I mean, maybe it's severe. I just,
One good thing is, and for those of you maybe just joining us, though this is a severe thunderstorm warning, we are not expecting any tornadic activity at all. This is more severe warned for strong winds, brief heavy rain, and some smaller hail possible.
Correct. That is correct, yeah. And again, at the top of the hour here at 7 o'clock, we are going to toss this back to programming. We believe that this is mainly just heavy rain now pushing into San Antonio, even though there is a severe thunderstorm warning out there for New Berlin and La Vernia and areas out to the east of San Antonio. There are certain parts of Bexar County that may not get a single drop of rain, and it could be as close in as the 410 loop. Crazy. But nonetheless, this storm will continue to move on off towards the east at about 30 miles per hour, should be moving into Gonzales within the next 30 to 45 minutes, and then eventually this storm will make a beeline out towards Victoria, and then eventually off the coast. And then that will be all she wrote. And then if you look back across North Texas and Central Texas, there's not much going on at all.
And that's what we're going to see. Those areas are completely rain-free, and as soon as the line makes it through, will be rain-free in San Antonio as well. So we already saw this pattern kind of roll out for Austin. We saw the heavy rain come through, and now we're dry there. And we're going to see the same pattern happening for San Antonio, and then the coast after that. And then we have a dry weekend. And in fact, we don't have rain chances in our forecast until at least about Wednesday of next week.
Let's take a look here at the hail tracker. Be interested to see if we have any hail being detected by the radar. And a little bit, but not much.
And it's small hail, so kind of what we suspected would happen as the storm made its way through the metro. Smaller hail, about a ½ inch in diameter. That is not considered severe hail. It's not going to do any damage.
So, with that, let's go back to the main radar here and recap one more time as we get ready to send this back to programming. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for about another just a few seconds more for most of Bexar County, and then that was extended out to the east to include portions of Guadalupe and Wilson counties. This in effect until 8 o'clock, but these storms holding their own and or weakening a little bit. They are holding their own and or weakening, still getting a few reports of some small hail, but all in all, these storms have been pretty well behaved. So Seguin, you're getting the heavy rain right now that extends all the way back into downtown San Antonio and northeastern portions of Bexar County. But interestingly enough, there on the south side of Bexar County, not a single drop of rain has fallen. All right, you are watching Spectrum News 1. I'm meteorologist Blake Matthews alongside meteorologist Courtney Aiken. We appreciate you watching us this evening. We will continue to monitor the radar here, and we will break in as necessary. Again, this new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 8 o'clock, mainly east of San Antonio.
You're watching Spectrum News 1. It's 7 o'clock.
Tonight, surf's up and shots fired. The lieutenant governor and House Speaker continue their heated back and forth with a little humor. Plus, stepping up school safety after the Uvalde mass shooting. How one lawmaker hopes to put teachers in immediate contact with police during emergencies.
It's not appropriate. It's simply not appropriate.
And later, First Amendment or First Commandment.
They represent God in our government institutions.
Why some Texas lawmakers want to bring more religion into public school classrooms. Capitol Tonight starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us here on Capitol Tonight. I am Rena Diamante in for Karina Kling.